What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Investing Bros live show. It is October 22nd, and we have got a dandy of a show for you guys today. Massive stories coming out, and I want to make sure we clarify some things first, just so people don't cross some details and think that we're communicating something that's not true. We do have amazing news for Chainlink and AVAX holders that's going to make you very bullish. No, that news isn't the Joe Rogan and Donald Trump podcast coming out on Friday. We're going to talk about that too, but there's also some great old stories with partnerships coming for both of our favorite real world asset cryptocurrencies. I am buying more as we are speaking, but we're going to talk about all of that and a whole lot more. Make sure not to go anywhere. You're going to want to watch this one all the way through. And while you do it, you might as well go ahead and smash that like button, possibly win some money. If we get to 300 by the midpoint, that's 25. If we get to 600 by the end, somebody's getting $100. Smash that like right now. Hit subscribe. And first, we got to roll the intro. Mr. T. Shroom, how are you doing today, my friend?
Well, Tim, I'm doing better than I deserve. I think this is the first day of October where I have felt a lot of excitement. There's a lot of excitement right now coursing through my veins. Yes, there's just so much to be excited about.
This is the first one. I feel like October's been kind of a pretty good month so far. Maybe not. The beginning portion of it came with a little bit of bearish information, but I feel like the middle has been pretty good here so far.
It's been a good month, Tim. Don't get me wrong, but this is the first time I've been excited, filled with passion, and hopefully you are too watching at home. But how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Had a leg workout this morning. Always good to get in the gym. High rep legs, though. I was telling we did a live trading session earlier. I was exhausted, right? Had to take another energy drink, had to get going. High rep leg day is the worst. There's a lot of things that are bad in this world, but not many of them are worse than high rep leg day. But that's what I had today. It is what it is. I feel accomplished. I'm very glad that's out of my way for the week.
Good.
But, tidbit of the day, usually I save life advice for the end of the show. I'm going to spoil you guys with early life advice. Real men train leg day. All right. Probably offended some people out there. Listen, if I offended you, maybe I'm speaking to you. Maybe that was more of a challenge than an offensive language. Don't get offended. Be challenged. Be a man. All the women out there, you guys can be bros. Here at the Investing Bros channel, we don't discriminate based off of gender. Everyone here is a bro. Bros crush leg days. That's our advice of the day. T-Shroom, let's get in here. A lot of news to get into, right? A lot of news. Got to get in and talk about the crypto markets quickly. We'll dive into those things. Here we go. Bubbles. Mostly red, some scattered in green. PopCat not doing that bad. Rune, Beam, Uni, Aptos, Cas. Ooh, Caspa's up 4%. Look at that. But ApeCoin, biggest loser of the day, down 18%. Hex is down 7.6. Hex has been a little bit of a losing streak here more recently. Gala is one sticking out. Sui is one sticking out. I will say, though, Sui, maybe we'll take a look at Sui. We definitely have to take a look at AVAX and Chainlink, but maybe Sui's one to watch as well because we're hitting some of those levels. We're getting close, at least, to some of those levels we have talked about here on the show for a pullback on Sui before that great asset continues to the upside. There's our bubbles of the day. Let's check in on Bitcoin. If you guys are subscribed to the channel, if you're watching, I put out a video this morning where I did talk about some concerns on the charts for Bitcoin. Nothing necessarily long-term. This doesn't kill the bull market. No, I'm not becoming a perma bear where I say that the bull market is over and Bitcoin's going to drop back down to brand new lows. I want to make sure we cut that in the bud before we get started here. But I do think potentially we could see Bitcoin make its way down towards 66,000. Kind of highlighted that in this morning's video, but let's kind of go in depth with a little brief synopsis of why I'm a little bit concerned right now. First things first, fear and greed index. We're sitting in the greed. Anyone who's been in the investing world for a while and you've been used to this indicator, when you trickle into the greed more often than not, you're a little overextended. You need to cool off. When you trickle into fear, that's when people are going to start buying. Well, we've been in the greed now for a couple of days. Actually, if you take a look at it, we've been in the greed since October 16th. That's not necessarily the greatest spot you want to be. Wouldn't be surprised to see this cool off at least back in a neutral before the rally continues. That's the first thing I'm watching. When I come over into liquidation heat maps, I'm seeing, while we do have liquidations to the upside that I'm really excited about, and I'm very bullish over the next couple of weeks, I'm one of the ones telling you I think that we still, at this point, can see new all-time highs around election time, even with this pullback. I think by the end of the year, 100K is not off the table of happening in the calendar year 2024. But what am I looking at to the downside? I do see some hefty liquidations to the number of $639 million worth of liquidations could happen with the pullback down towards 66,000. In all actuality, we could drop lower, coming down here towards 64.4. I highlight that on this morning's video. But I think the main target to keep an eye on is a former resistance level where we have heavy liquidity at 66,000. That's what brings us over to the charts. I just mentioned 66. Of course, that was the heavy resistance back here at the end of September. If you are newer to charts, that's completely okay. This is a very bullish pattern we're in at the moment where we are setting higher highs and higher lows, but it's not uncommon whatsoever for the price action to come back and retouch a former resistance level, turn it into support, and then continue to the upside. That's what we are watching. But I want to make sure I'm very clear here with the charts that it could technically, from a chart perspective, go lower. Let's talk about it here, starting off with the chart reason why I think that a correction for Bitcoin is necessary. We're on the daily chart right now. Let's start off with the simpler ones. The MACD is moving down. It is going to, looks like it wants to cross bearish for the first time since back here on October 1st. What happened when we crossed bearish back here? Yeah, we had a nice little 10% pullback. Is Bitcoin going to pull back 10% this time? Not 100% certain on that, but it does mean a little bit of a correction before a rally comes in. The RSI got overextended, telling us we were overbought. It's cooling off, but the biggest one of them all is the bearish divergence, the red reversal, the negative money flow, and it's changing this morning, or sorry, it's changing this afternoon as we're getting a little bit of a pump in price, but this morning we had negative money flow. If we can end the day on a rally, that's on the table. It absolutely is. If we can end the day on the rally, I'll change my perspective and say, all right, we're avoiding this major sell signal. But with everything else we're looking at, with these liquidation charts, with the fear and greed index, with these other indicators kind of telling us we're a little overextended, we're a little overbought, my assumption is there's a little bit of a sell signal coming here on Bitcoin. When someone said, I think someone in chat said, is that the worst we can get to in reference to $66,000? 66 isn't the worst. The worst we can get to is zero. Let's just throw that one out there. The worst that can happen to Bitcoin is it goes to zero. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think that that's very unrealistic. I think realistically 66 is good, but keep an eye. As I said, around 64, 63,000 range. We'll put a box right here. I do not think this box is going to get hit, but we are watching the smart trail quickly climb up here. It's probably going to climb up here in the next couple of days. Could we, with a daily sell signal, see the price of Bitcoin make its way into that smart trail, bounce somewhere here around 64,000, and then make its case to the upside? That, to me, is the realistic worst case scenario. Not going to happen, not guaranteed, but if we lose 66, which I think is the more realistic support level, then all of a sudden you have to start considering 64, 64.5, 64.4 is kind of the range I'm watching there. Another reason why I'm bearish here, I did not cover this in the morning video, is lower time frames starting to say, or have been saying, we're under a sell signal. If I looked at the 12-hour, we entered a sell signal here today where we had not only the bearish divergence, not only the red reversal and the bearish momentum, but this one did see the negative money flow. It did see a bearish cross on the MACD. It did see the RSI cooling off. And this would suggest we should at least pull back to this smart trail here of guess where? 65,950. That's $50 away from what price? Ladies and gentlemen, say it with me. $66,000, the level we talked about here just a couple of minutes ago. There is a lot of things on the charts for Bitcoin suggesting 66,000 should be a very good spot to acquire more Bitcoin before the next leg of the rally. And that will simply be another higher low in a bull trend that Bitcoin has been in ever since August of 2024. That is amazing news for anyone out there holding Bitcoin. But let's transition into a couple of coins that we're going to talk about with some news later on in the show, but are getting fantastic news today. They're two of our favorites. They're real-world assets. Highly recommend, if you do not hold them in your portfolio, taking a look at it today. It is Chainlink and it is AVAX. Now, we have been tracking here on Chainlink, for example, a longer-term upward move from the breakout of this falling wedge for Chainlink to make its way back up here towards $15. We saw here more recently a buy signal back on October 3rd on the daily chart. Unlike Bitcoin, we are not seeing overextended oscillators here on Chainlink. We're not seeing bearish divergence in play. We're not seeing the MACD go to the downside. We're not seeing the RSI communicating that we're overbought. We are still seeing an overwhelming amount of positivity, and we have take profit levels from Luxalgo, the number one indicator on TradingView for anyone who wants to trade and make money in the investing space. It's telling us somewhere between 1465 and as high as 1675. Well, that's kind of further confirmation to me about this breakout prediction that $15 in the next couple of weeks is a major target to watch for with a breakout here on Chainlink. Love seeing that. That's not the only coin, though, that has fantastic news today. The other real-world asset with some great news is AVAX. Not seeing the same strong move that Chainlink is on the charts, but we do see that it is holding onto an a rising trend line. This blue line right in here, this is a rising trend line that we are defending as bulls. We are not allowing candles to close beneath this line. Well, as we come back down to it, we're about to get back into a major level of support. Our target for a breakout on AVAX, if we're looking at this, is a breakout of this falling wedge pattern, moving us up towards $36 again, $36, $37. If we start to look at our Luxalgo indicators, you're going to find that we do have our red reversal cloud. And when we get a buy signal, which we don't have just yet, but more than likely this stop loss too is going to turn into our take profit level. My expectation is there's a big move in the next couple of weeks, at least up here to 36, possibly to $40 based off of our order block here as well. Taking a look at our oscillators, we were under a sell signal back in here, back over on September 29th. We have satisfied that sell signal by bouncing off the daily smart trail. Now we are simply waiting for further bullish confirmation to come in. If you look at the 4-hour chart, we are actually under a current buy signal at the moment. That would suggest we should make it up here into the 30s once again. Let's look at our oscillator. Oscillators are super low here on the 4-hour chart. Not getting a buy signal necessarily, but not getting a sell signal either. We've got to continue to wait and be patient on AVAX. Not as bullish as Chainlink whatsoever, but maybe with that news and with us touching a local support level on an uptrend we've been in for several weeks, AVAX is about to make some sort of large move. Keep an eye on that. This is a neutral chart. If you're a trader, I would tell you guys, this is the advice I would give to people that were in my VIP trading group. Wait for a confirmation move. If you want to long it, wait for something at least on the 4-hour chart to pop up there saying that it's very bullish. If you want to short it, wait for at least 2 or 3 candles to close on the daily chart below this uptrending trend line. Then you could potentially short it back down here towards our smart trail and a major order block around $22. My best guess at this time, though, is I would imagine this trades to the upside. Just wait for confirmation, though. We don't know 100% which way it's going to go. Wait for confirmation either way, and then trade and buy accordingly. That is going to wrap up our AVAX, our Chainlink, our Bitcoin TA. We're a little briefer today because I want to spend a lot more time of the show discussing all of these major headlines. If you are just joining, we are going to talk about probably the biggest story that is broke within the last couple of hours, and that is that Donald Trump will be going on Joe Rogan's podcast on Friday. We'll discuss those details. We'll give you our takes here in just a couple of minutes, but let's stay on the altcoin side of things. Let's talk about the amazing news that is coming to both Chainlink and AVAX. T-Shroom, while everybody's smashing that like button right now, why don't you take us in to our news sections for the day? The floor is yours.
Absolutely, Tim. Let's get it here. Chainlink partners with major financial players to improve corporate actions data reporting using AI, and blockchain. It is very exciting here. It's hard to overstate how exciting this is. If you are just tuning in, we're talking about Chainlink. We're talking about AVAX, some crypto news here. We're excited to announce the results of an industry-wide corporate actions initiative between Chainlink, Euroclear, Swift, and 6 financial institutions. This is perhaps the headline that XRP holders should have gotten. But instead, this headline is going to Chainlink. Mm-hmm. It is very, very high probability at this point, in my opinion, that Chainlink, according to our has confirmed our suspicions that XRP was going to be the one replacing the SWIFT network and these other interstate interbank networks, and it is no longer the case. It is going to Chainlink. Has the deal been inked yet? I think it has not yet been inked. Right, that's the last hope for XRP, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of controversy around that. But as you can see here, many large financial institutions, Wellington Management, Franklin Templeton, Euroclear, Swift, the financial market infrastructures, banks and custodians, that's UBS, Kasaki's, Vonabell, Sygum, and blockchains, including AVAX getting the double shout out today, ZK Sync, and BESU, Hyperledger. Mm-hmm. So very, very big news here for Chainlink. Could there be some market share left for XRP? Absolutely. Could there be market share left for other competitors in this industry to be the interbank chain? Yes. The answer is definitely yes. We're at the very early beginnings of this industry. However, it looks like the big names have settled on a blockchain of choice, and that blockchain is Chainlink. Tim, we've been talking about this for a long time. What are your thoughts here, finally getting some action, some momentum towards confirming that Chainlink is indeed that chain?
Yeah, I think the breaking news here to walk away with is that they're now starting to take actual steps. We've known about these relationships, especially the one with Swift. That one sticks out, and it's been around now for over a year. People have talked about it. But after a little bit of excitement for Chainlink late in 2023, it seemed like Chainlink had gone into a little bit of a coma. It seemed like it kind of cooled off and no one was talking about it. Well, the reason why is because, that headline a year or so ago when it says that Swift is choosing Chainlink to partner with for future financial transactions was massive for the future. Until you actually see any fruit from the labor, it's hard for a market to really pump and feel really good about it. Well, this is that second step, that more bullish side, I believe, in the whole story, is that they're actually working on action plans now for Chainlink. It is going to be massive. Here's where people can disagree with me, and I respect everyone's opinion to be different than me. I believe Chainlink is going to jump from its current number 15 ranking and total market cap of crypto. I think it's going to jump from 15 to 5 by the time this bull market's all said and done. Not everyone is as bullish as I am. Some people think it's going to go higher. There are Chainlink maxis out there that think it'll surpass Ethereum. I think that's a little bit ridiculous. I don't even think it's going to pass Solana or potentially even USDT. But that number 5 or number 6 slot is still looking very likely to me, and it's because of headlines like this that I knew were going to come at some point. I just didn't know exactly when. It's here today. The confirmation is happening. They're working on building it. They know there's major problems right now in the financial world of how things are transacted, and Chainlink is the coin, is the project, is the oracle that they are going to use to fix those problems, and that is no small feat. Mass adoption coming for Chainlink, and the price will always be downstream from fundamentals. This is a fundamental story. It's amazingly bullish. Just wait. The bullish price action is coming.
Absolutely. And we're going to go into much more detail on Fundamental Friday. Oh, wait, you have a show called Fundamental Friday? We do. And it's in our Discord. And it is hosted by the genius portfolio manager extraordinaire, Crux of Crypto. And I have a couple more details, though, to share you about with this Chainlink story. Turning various pieces of disconnected corporate actions data into unified golden records that can be relied on by hundreds of market participants as a definitive single source of truth is truly a huge step towards step forward. Chainlink co-founder Sergey Nazarov said this will help financial markets synchronize faster, reduce errors, and cut costs. There's some more details down here about kind of what is actually going on here. By leveraging AI and Chainlink oracles to interpret, standardize, and deliver high-value unstructured data, we can dramatically reduce the manual process required, enabling significant potential operational efficiency and cost reduction. That is going to get the attention, big time, of corporations, said Mark G. of Wellington Management, Director of Digital Assets and Tokenization Strategy. If you want to learn more about this, unstructured data is the direction that you're going to want to go from a search term standpoint. This is really big for Chainlink, and you're also seeing a little bit of foreshadowing here. AVAX also getting a big association as well as ZK Sync in this publication here. Now let's go ahead and hear directly from AVAX because they've got some big news too. AVAX reveals the Visa card for cryptocurrency payments. Now this card is going to be a little different from the one in your pocket today. The website notes that the Avalanche card is not a bank and is FDIC insured. That might be a typo because I feel like it's probably not going to be FDIC insured, or it's written poorly. The card works like a credit card, but user activity is not reported to credit bureaus. That's interesting. The AVAX card will initially be available in Latin America, Caribbean countries before launching in other countries. So it's going to have a test phase. Yeah. My guess is that in English, this probably should have been written. This website notes that the Avalanche card is not a bank and is not FDIC insured. If this is FDIC insured, then this is very big for AVAX. My guess is that it's not FDIC insured. Overall, very big headline for AVAX.
Seems like a terrible place to have a typo if there is one there.
Right.
That's some pretty, not having the word not is pretty important, or the lack of the word not there is pretty important. I would like to think maybe it is FDIC insured because that would be huge. But we're on a cliffhanger here because I think you're right. Even the way that reads, not could easily be in that sentence and make more sense than it not being there.
Right. I'm not sure. I'm gonna try to find that original print because it says it's from a website.
Okay.
So
what if that website typoed it? That now we're just getting this telephone effect of terrible typo with the information. Either way, while you're looking for that, I'll give my take on it. It's not going to be much different than Chainlink's. We've actually seen, again, I don't think it's been the same timeline, but AVAX and Visa, that's been a conversation for a while. That's not a new relationship either. Again, that's a sexy headline that we saw a while ago saying AVAX partnering with Visa, or Visa plans to partner with AVAX. Well, that's going to stir up the pot. That's going to make people excited. That's going to really be good. But until you actually see any of the fruit, any of the actions, anything coming to fruition, then it starts to die off. Well, now, again, they're not going into the largest countries in the world, like the United States, countries in Europe, China, Russia, but they're going to start in Latin America and the Caribbeans, kind of test it out with those areas. And then if it's a success, and I believe that it will, they're going to start bringing it into other places as well. This is another massive story, massive adoption. While I'm not necessarily as bullish on AVAX as I am on Chainlink, I'm still massively bullish on AVAX. I still believe it's going to go from where its current ranking is. I believe, what is it, number 9 or something? Let me correct that. I think I have it going up to like number 8, so that's not a major jump. I think it's number 12. I think it's currently number 12 13. On CoinMarketCap. CoinGecko maybe. CoinGecko might have a coin up there I'm not accounting for. CoinMarketCap, it's at number 12. Yep. I think it's going to make it up in the top 10. I think it's going to be sitting right there on number 8, number 7, somewhere in that realm. A lot of gains coming for these real-world assets. Don't leave out, we don't have headlines for it, but don't forget about the others, like Ondo, like Pith. Lots of real-world asset projects are going to get mass adoption and therefore massive price increases as well. Today, though, the coins to talk about and to be humming about and looking for these dips to buy more of them, you got to be looking at Chainlink and AVAX based off this information that just came out. T-Shroom, were you able to find that information to find out if it is FDIC insured, if that was a typo? What are we thinking here?
So Kyle Field says it says not on Avalanche's website, so not FDIC insured. It's a small detail. It's an important detail, but either way, regardless of what the truth is, it's a big deal that they've managed to partner with Visa. All right, that is our altcoin news. We'll be getting into our. Go ahead.
Let's do super chats. We got 2 super chats that just came in. Morgan Powell says, always appreciate the info you bros putting out, with the thumbs up too. So thank you so much for that, Morgan Powell. We appreciate you being here every single day and always leaving comments. Here's what I'll say. If there was an award for comment sections. Believe it or not, we read all the comments. There's been a lot of scams in there. I try to go through and get rid of all the scam stuff. It's the larger we grow, and you guys are just amazing, but the more views and the more comments we get, it's harder and harder and harder every day to get rid of those guys. But we read them all. And my point here is, if we were going to give an award to someone who comments the most for the longest period of time, it'd be a hard argument to say Morgan Powell shouldn't win that argument. I think I see his name literally daily, sometimes multiple times a day in the comment section below all of our content. So Morgan, thank you for your continued encouragement and support throughout our channel's existence. We also have a super chat here from same guys yesterday. Istophobic. Did we ever find out what istophobic is, T-Shroom?
I'll look it up.
No. All right. Well, we got to fact check this one too. He said the question that people have when Lambo. Of course, there's that fun little meme there. In a more serious answer, because that's obviously a joke of a question, but I'll answer it kind of seriously. I'll tell you guys, I'm the type of person you're not going to catch me in a Lambo. Would I love to test drive one day just to say, hey, guys, I drove a Lambo? Yeah, sure. That'd be awesome. I have zero interest whatsoever. Let's just say, let's say I became a billionaire, which is not going to happen. I'm just not the type of person who would push myself that far to become a billionaire. But let's say I get the finances to buy a Lambo. There's no way that money is going anywhere close to a Lambo. First of all, if I have that much money, I'm going to be giving a whole lot more of it away to people who need that money a whole lot more than I need a Lambo. Secondly, I tell people all the time, there's that meme that kind of goes over the internet, T-shirt, that's like, when I get rich, or if I get rich, there won't be a lot of signs, but there will be a couple, and then some sort of joke. Mine was, I've said this, and it's not a joke. If I get a lot of money, and as I gain my wealth more and more every single year as I've been invested in crypto, there will not be a lot of signs that I'm wealthy. You guys will see me in hoodies still. You'll see me in black T-shirts. You will not see all the fancy clothes. You will see, if you ever paid attention to my grocery bills and the types of food I'm purchasing, that will be my sign that I'm a wealthy person. This is one of the reasons I'm so excited about what RFK potentially could do if given a position of power in our government. The food in America sucks. The food in America is literally poison, slowly but surely killing all of us. It is expensive as all freaking get out. You borderline have to be a millionaire to eat healthy in the United States. That will be the sign, ladies and gentlemen, that I have a lot of money. It is my grocery bill. There's probably a lot of people in chat that are 100% in agreement with that. Istophobic is combining all the ists and the phobes. So you're afraid of everything. Okay, cool. Well, I'm afraid of American food. T-Shroom, how about you? What would be the sign of your wealth if you became wealthy? Rich. You already are wealthy. You already have Jesus Christ. You're wealthy, but
that's right.
What would be the signs of you being rich?
That's right. Man, I don't know what I would rather do, Tim. I don't know that I would rather spend my time doing much else. Maybe I would be on my bike more, kind of at the park. That's what I like to do. When I'm taking breaks, is just ride down to the park, ride around.
Professional bike rider.
Strike up a conversation.
Professional leisurely bike rider.
I still want to come across as an amateur bike rider, though. I don't want people thinking that I'm getting a big ego about my bike riding. So let's move on. Let's move on.
Thank you for the super chats, everybody.
I was gonna move on into the away from the altcoin stories, but there was a pretty big story to go along. So on the same day that we hear from two of the biggest real-world asset coins, AVAX and Chainlink, we also get this headline: tokenization could pose risk to financial system, says the FSB and the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, and the Financial Sustainability Board. Think big banks, right? Bigger than banks. They're banks that are in charge of banks. So they've released
the banks for the banks.
That's right. They've released this document, Crypto Asset Policy Implementation Roadmap. It mentions the word tokenization 6 times, and really the only thing that you should care about is the timing, right? So they of course knew that AVAX and Chainlink were going to be coming out in this moment, right? Just days away from people are already starting to vote here in the United States. I'll be voting this upcoming weekend, and then voting ends November 5th. I get, just anyway. So the timing of this, I think, says it all. Is these big banks are trying to cling to relevance, and it also kind of does define a schism between the traditional finance world, where you have BlackRock and Fidelity and many others on Wall Street that are eating crypto up. They love it. They're able to sell it. They're absolutely all in. And then you have the Bank of International Settlements and the Financial Sustainability Board that are all coming out and, poo-pooing it, right? So something to observe, to keep in mind, that all of these TradFi banks do not walk in lockstep. There are schisms in that world. All right. Well, speaking of the elections,
it's a good excuse to bring out the word schism.
Right.
You don't get to do that on the everyday basis. So, thank you for
right.
that story. T-Shroom got to say schism.
Do you know what the Great Schism is, Tim? Quick factoid.
I don't know what the Great Schism is. I have no idea where to even start.
The Great Schism was in 1054. It was the breakaway between what would become the Catholic Church and the Orthodox Christian Church. So that was the Great Schism.
Didn't know that. Sounds
good. Very, very cool stuff there. That may make its way into a factoid of the day, elf permitting. Tim, let's get into our thumbnail story today. It's not as exciting as the altcoin headlines, but Donald Trump is expected to record an interview with Joe Rogan on Friday. This has been hotly anticipated, but now it is set. Trump's set to go on the Joe Rogan podcast. This has a lot of implications. I don't think anybody's really surprised, but now we have a final date. It is this Friday, just days away. What are your thoughts here? What is going to be said? What's not going to be said? What are the touchy areas? What are your thoughts?
Well, as a crypto channel, I would love to believe they're going to talk about crypto, but I don't think Joe Rogan, while he's dabbled in the Bitcoin conversation, I don't think that that's going to be something on the tip of his brain to bring up. Obviously, I think they're both pro Bitcoin people, but I don't think they're going to go down that trail. We also, if you've bet on any debates, any speeches from either presidential candidate Trump or Kamala that we're thinking, is there a chance they bring up crypto? They never do, right? So while we get all the headlines and we know it's a big deal, they never seem to think it's important enough to really talk about at the big events, except for unless Donald Trump's speaking at the Bitcoin conference. But I think the biggest topic, absolutely, T-Shroom, is going to be free speech. Free speech and the protection of free speech is going to be the most important conversation that they have, what the future of it looks like, the dangers that the world is in right now of losing it. That is going to be 100% on the docket. Even though it's old news, my assumption, because it still comes up from time to time with other people, is that they're going to talk about the assassination attempts. I don't want to start a rumor here because somebody else started it, and I don't know if this is fact-checked yet or not, but we've seen celebrities already who in past election cycles were anti-Trump turn pro-Trump after the assassination attempts. Of course, we know Zuckerberg very publicly came out as now a believer in Donald Trump, telling him he's not going to help rig the election anymore. YouTube, don't silence us for fake news. I'm not saying they did. I'm not saying they didn't. That's just the details of the story we're talking about right here. That good old Zuck said, hey, I like Trump. I thought that was very brave. That was a pretty bad A thing to do. I'm not going to say any wordy dirties on the show, especially if there's any children here watching. But you know who I'm hearing a rumbling right now who's also going to come out and support and thought that everything that happened over the last couple of months was amazing is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. That could be pretty big. He obviously was a big supporter of Joe Biden back in 2020. He has publicly said he would not endorse Joe Biden. That was before Joe Biden stepped down, and now Kamala Harris is the Democratic presidential candidate. He has not come forward publicly saying he's going to support Harris for president either. Why? Because she's just an extension of Joe Biden in his eyes, I would imagine. And he's already said, I don't want another 4 years of what we just went through. So my assumption, that was all kind of wrapping up, T-Shirt. I think that the assassination and Donald Trump, what he's had to go through, let's tie that in with, they're going to talk about the assassination. They're going to talk about the court cases and the felonies he's committed and what that looks like in a political landscape of war. And there was something else I thought they would discuss. You know what? With his relationship with Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, I bet you they talk about the DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency as well. I would be very surprised if those three topics are not discussed in depth on this podcast. But what about you, T-Shirt? What are you expecting from an interview that I want to start with? Before I throw it to you, I also think that this thing could freaking break the internet. I think that this could get record numbers of views, downloads. It'll be all over the place, all over X, all over YouTube, even though they might try to keep it from being there as much as possible. It'll be over podcasts, wherever you can find them. People responding to it will be ridiculous. T-Shirt, this is one, I don't know, fact check me on this one, chat. Has a video in 1 week, or a podcast, I guess, has a video or a podcast received 1 billion downloads in a week's time? I don't know if that's something that's happened or not. If a video anytime recently or in the future, immediate future, was going to do it, this would be it, in my personal opinion. T-Shroom, I gave some high thoughts on it. What about you? What do you think is going to be discussed, and how big of a deal do you actually think this is?
Yeah, I think to kind of answer your last question there, I think probably music videos go mega viral the fastest of the categories.
True.
I think when Coldplay did that song with BCS, I can't remember the name of the band, but they did a collab with some. Anyway, that probably went mega viral faster. I think they're going to talk about the media. They're going to talk about the mainstream media. Joe Rogan really is one of the biggest symbols of, kind of anti-mainstream media passively. Like, he didn't even, that wasn't even his intent, but he has gained so much more ear share, more market share, and carved that out from, names like CNN, Fox News, and that's the way that's gone. And I think that that's going to be something that they'll want to talk about a little bit. Ivermectin, the pandemic, Trump was the one who put Operation Warp Speed into motion, and Joe Rogan has kind of faced a lot of criticism for his use of ivermectin, and I think that they'll probably talk about that a little bit. Not being pro-war, being anti-war. I think Joe Rogan's a pretty big proponent of that. Cannabis legalization has been a huge thing that Joe Rogan cares about quite a bit. Russiagate, I don't know if they'll talk about that, but that would be a big one. And then I agree that the Department of Governmental Efficiency.
Yeah.
I think that'll be a pretty big one too. And then there'll also be just all kinds of like little nuggets. Like, Rogan likes to get in there, sometimes talk about animals, talk about people's families, and just there'll be all kinds of stuff that nobody was kind of expecting. And I listen to probably 1 out of every 4 Joe Rogan podcasts that tickle my fancy, that catch my interest. He's an excellent interviewer who leads with curiosity, not afraid to ask the hard questions, not afraid to have people that he disagrees with on. I think politically have a lot of admiration for him, because while I don't agree with everything that Joe Rogan stands for politically, he has on people like Bernie Sanders, he has on people like Tulsi Gabbard, he has on people that he doesn't necessarily agree with, to hear them out, to hear what they have to say. And now having somebody like Joe Rogan, the only person who would be better to have on would be Joe Biden and Kamala Harris right there to really get the full picture. But I don't know if that's something that will happen. But yeah, I'm excited for this interview. Will they talk about crypto? Maybe, if the Department of Governmental Efficiency comes up, if Elon comes up, there might be a segue into crypto. But the reality is that there's only so much time that's going to be in this podcast. My guess is it's not going to be a 3-hour marathon like some of the guests come on and do. I think it's probably going to be an hour and a half. And, with that time, crypto is just not, it's important. Obviously, we know it's important, but it's not a big enough voting issue for the average American. I think a couple of things you pointed out there are very important notes for anyone listening. And I'm assuming most people are up to date with what's, where Donald Trump is with Joe Rogan and Joe Rogan's views on a lot of different things. But in case you're not, or in case you were unaware of it, Joe Rogan has not been a fan of the conservative side of the political realm. He was not a fan in 2016 of Donald Trump. He was not necessarily a fan in 2020. I don't know who he voted for. I don't know if he actually made that clear. I don't know what he did. But even up to the last couple of months,
There was a big deal, and I highly doubt this gets brought up. I think it just gets swept under the rug. But it would be very fascinating if Joe Rogan kind of put this out there and kind of publicly asked for some form of an apology from Donald Trump, because in the last couple of months, he made it very clear in a podcast, or didn't make it very clear. In a podcast, he said the only sensible presidential candidate is RFK. Didn't officially endorse him, didn't say I hate Donald Trump, but the way it was received absolutely was he was endorsing RFK. He believed that Donald Trump was not a good person for president. It went on, there was a massive backlash, and I say massive, there was a widespread mega movement that said, oh, Joe Rogan's a terrible guy, he shouldn't have said that, yada, yada. Donald Trump, I believe, even tweeted something to the effect of, I wonder how many boos he's going to get at the next UFC fight, right? Clearly, the water's been put under the bridge with RFK joining Donald Trump. Joe Rogan, I am assuming, even though he hasn't done it publicly, and I don't think he's going to do it publicly in this interview, is going to be voting for Donald Trump. I believe he thinks he's the better candidate. I don't think he's going to, D-Shroom, but I would love to see him ask that tough question on kind of getting a public apology slash like, hey, what were you thinking here? Like, what was the details here? Joe Rogan is not afraid of any human. Joe Rogan is not, this interview is not going to be too big for him. He is not going to be afraid to offend Donald Trump whatsoever. And I think that's going to make for a beautiful show if he does do it a little bit, make Trump a little uncomfortable. The other thing you said, again, people are going to say he's not, but I believe Joe Rogan is extremely unbiased. I guarantee you his team, if they haven't already, is going to also reach out to Kamala Harris to get her on. Because that's just great TV, and at the end of the day, he's an influencer. He's a show producer who lives off of the numbers, and that would get a lot of numbers as well. I just highly doubt Kamala Harris, especially after some of her recent interviews and recent outings, would want to walk into the Lion's Den, a Joe Rogan podcast. Probably not going to happen.
Right. And so, we're all watching, waiting in anticipation. If you've never listened to the Joe Rogan podcast, profanity is not abnormal. Yeah. I wouldn't expect there to be a ton of profanity on this episode specifically. Not for any particular reason, but but profanity is not foreign to that. So we're not sending you to a PG content. There's going to be some color to it for sure. So just be prepared for that. Trump has done a lot of interviews with a lot of different people. Theo Vaughn, he was on Flagrant. He's been on a lot of podcasts. And so it's not like we're going to be hearing the first when he was on with Elon on X, right? It was a lot of the same stuff talking about immigration. I think Rogan will be somebody who tries to mix it up and get in there and maybe ask some tough questions. So it's going to be very interesting. There was a big pop around cannabis. Looks like a lot of people were interested in that bit.
I saw a good part here too. So I think it's Larry LaRue said this. Yeah, you guys need to create a bingo card. Not a bad choice. I have a couple squares I'd put on there, but here's what I'll do. We will create a bingo card and release it for you guys. If you guys in the comment section, not in the chat. So if you're watching this live, you got to wait till the show's over. Go into the comment section down below. We read all of them. Leave us what you think should be a bingo box, a box on a bingo card. We'll create one. We'll make it public so you guys can go with us. That would be a lot of fun. I also see here. Oh, Justin. I'm sorry, Justin. Justin has changed your name to the Politic Bros. Maybe we'll change. Maybe we'll start a brand new channel called the Politic Bros. Unfortunately, and we maybe haven't done a great job of binding this. Why are we talking about this interview? It is the hottest news around the world, no matter what your genre you're in. This is important. It's important to the crypto space. It's important to investing because, and people have said it here in chat, there are millions of viewers that listen to Joe Rogan that are conservative. There are millions of viewers that listen to Joe Rogan that are liberal. And there are a million that are probably somewhere in the middle. I would not be surprised whatsoever if there are millions of American voting citizens who are still undecided who listen to Joe Rogan. So for Donald Trump to be on this is going to have massive implications for the election. And as we've highlighted now for a long time, whether you care about politics or not, if you're the type of person who's like, hey, just stop talking politics, who cares? Let's just talk crypto. We are believers here that no matter who wins president, crypto is going to do well. But it is going to change the landscape and the details of how long and how bullish or how bearish or anything, how is crypto going to move? This still plays a massive, massive precedence in how we look at investments. If you don't want to watch it, if you don't want to listen to it, that's completely fine. I actually respect you. Sometimes there's a lot of things happen in the world I don't want to listen to either. But I would be failing everyone who tunes in every single day. T-Shroom would be failing you if you tune in every single day and we did not talk about the largest details that affect your hard-earned money that you've invested into crypto. We love you guys and care about you too much to not talk about politics during this period of time. Come back probably December, January. We probably can talk about it a little bit less. I can't wait for it.
The good news is that we have such a mature community that we're able to talk about politics, and people understand that we're bringing it back to the market, right? That there's really a lot to understand when it comes to what politician is going to get in office and how they're going to, what kind of policies are going to change. That's going to absolutely affect your bags, whether you're invested in Tesla, Microsoft, Bitcoin, Solana, whatever it is. There are implications. Elections have consequences. Istophobic said, you were totally right yesterday, Tim. It doesn't matter if Mark Cuban looks like a lesbian. That's immature, right? So, Tim, part of the reason why we have such a mature community is because, we try to say, hey, don't be immature. People are calling names, using strange, insults against each other. Don't do it. Be mature. And that's the type of people that we want here. In fact, if you are immature, it's kind of hard to, never mind. It's hard to self-identify if you're immature. That may be a fool's errand. So we'll move along. But
I'll say this, and we're moving on. The first step to maturing, T-Shroom, is realizing you're immature and admitting it and saying, I need to grow up. I need to change my ways. You will never stop doing something wrong if you don't first identify what you're doing is wrong, right? So maybe you are listening and you're realizing you've been immature when it comes to politics or investing or something else. Guess what, guys? That's completely okay. I still have a lot of areas, even in the world of investing, that I realize I'm immature and I need to grow in my understanding. First step to becoming mature, admit when you're immature. That's a great sign. Thank you for that super chat. By the way, someone asked, when is the interview? We said it in the beginning, but if you're just joining, Friday. I don't know if it releases Friday night. It's being recorded, supposedly, on Friday. I don't know his track record, T-Shroom. I don't know if you know when he normally posts these podcasts. It's not immediate. They got to download it. They got to work with it. They probably take bathroom breaks. They're probably going to have to clip some stuff together, and then they'll release it later on. I don't know exact what time that is. We had another super chat, two more. Not financial advice from Istophobic. He said not financial advice, but Orange Man good. All right, let's keep going. Istophobic. No, that was the other one. I think we got him. Wait, is that it? No. There's one back here. All right. Crypto for everybody. I knew there was another one. Said, hope your channel grows quick. Like your dynamic moderation. Greetings from Germany. Shout out to you, Crypto for everybody. Shout out to everybody who, we're a very heavy American channel. T-Shroom and I are both Americans. A lot of our viewers are Americans, but we absolutely love when people from other countries, other cultures come in and sit and listen to us for a whole hour as we give you our takes on the markets. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being part of
mein Bruder.
Ooh, Dankeschön, mein Bruder. Yeah, that I have not done a while. I was trying to learn German there for a little bit. Me and Smay a couple of years ago, we spent months studying German, and I never got close to being good. So I gave up. I need to get back there. All right, it is 3:48 T-Shroom. Is that all of our stories, or do we have more? This was a jam-packed story day, and that's why I gave us lots of time for it. But anything else you have for us?
Couple more here. Somehow we went that whole time without actually looking at the Polymarket spread, which is up 66 to now 34%. That's what it looks like on the charts here. For those of you who've been keeping track, we have not seen 66%, since back here in July 21st, right? So Harris was barely a part of the conversation. That's actually when it looks like she started to pump up over Biden, right? So this is, at this point, if Vegas is right, if Polymarket's right, this one at this point is callable, right? It's getting to the point where it's callable. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. We've got.
I'll say it real quick. I just want to tune in here. People comment us all the time, and that's okay. We're going to say a lot of things over and over and over again. This is another thing I'm okay with saying over and over and over again. Polymarkets is not the end of the day. It's not going to decide who wins presidency. Polymarkets, some people like to point out, in theory, you're not supposed to be able to even bet on it if you're an American citizen. So it's effectively non-American citizens betting on it. That's not the greatest argument in the world. There's this thing called VPNs that people use here and there. You absolutely can play in it. But at the end of the day, it's still just a betting market. It is still just people putting their hard-earned money, making a bet. They could be wrong. This is what we know here in the United States, and I don't know the political landscape of other countries very well, but I would assume it's not that much different. Polls taken on the street are not very accurate. If we decided elections by polls, we would have had a President Clinton for the second time in the last 30 years. We would have had Hillary back in 2016. But then she ended up losing to Donald Trump. There were polls early in 2020 that looked like Donald Trump was going to win again. And then Joe Biden wins. Polls are historically unreliable. So why are we talking about Polymarket? Why do we bring that up? Is it the end-all, be-all? Is it 100% foolproof? No, it is not. But there's a difference. When people are actually putting their money on something, it gives you a little more edge as to what the overall thoughts and landscape is. I personally believe that Polymarket is a more accurate representation of how people are feeling than any poll you're going to see from your local centralized media entity. That being said, we still got to wait for November 5th. We still got to wait for people to go into the ballot boxes. Check your ballots. Speaking of T-Shroom, before we get going here, I know this is the last thing, and I don't have the article here, but I want to warn people because I've seen this in multiple locations. Like whenever you see something on the internet once, you question it. Whenever you see it in two places, you're like, all right, that's coincidental. When you see the same story in different places from different people that have nothing to do with each other, this is when it becomes a problem. Make sure when you guys go to vote, check your paper ballot that gets printed out when you're finished. Literally right now, today, I believe Florida, obviously my former home and T-Shroom's current home, Florida is no longer going to use those. What is the name of the company that does the voting booths?
Dominion.
They're not. Florida's not going to use them. And the reason why is because people have been reporting in multiple states that they are selecting on the machine Donald Trump, but when they print out their ticket, they are seeing that it corrected it to Kamala Harris. So public announcement, let's say you're voting for Kamala Harris. Check your ballot. If you want to make sure your machine makes sure you voted for Kamala Harris, check your ballot. If you want to make sure your machine says you voted for Donald Trump, check your ballot. It would be a catastrophe either direction if there's machines changing information and we have a fraudulent election. Be careful. Look at your ballot before you turn it in and leave your voting booth. There's your little, that's not a factoid. That's a little, we'll call it our tidbit of the day. Tidbit. Yeah. Check your ballot.
Isophobic coming in again with a banger here, asking you, Tim, when organic Whole Foods?
When I become rich, when I make more money than I make currently. Yeah. Listen, I want to say this, like, I am very blessed. I probably should make a video about this at some point. I see other content creators doing it. Guys, if you knew me personally, 5 years ago, I was a extremely hard worker, but worked multiple jobs, making very little money, didn't have a thought in the world about investing or retirement. I was living paycheck to paycheck, grinding each and every single day with the work ethic that God gave me to make ends meet. But then I got into crypto. I began to study the markets. I began to do all this. I am now not only financially free, I have investment plans. I have retirement plans. I'm looking at what my future looks like to build wealth and make the world a better place. I got a long way to go. But I want you guys, anyone who's listening right now who thinks Tim is this ridiculous millionaire, I'm not going to tell you guys my net worth. That just doesn't help anybody. I'm not a millionaire. There's so many people watching this show right now. There's other influencers out there that have made so much more money than I have. And if that's the reason why you guys don't want to watch, that's completely fine. That's so cool. But if you're like me, if you were the type of person who wasn't born with a lot of money, who even in the most recent couple of years was that paycheck to paycheck person, and you want that to end and your life to change, I absolutely do believe this is the right channel for you. Because we're not just these guys sitting on top of a mountain telling you this is your strategy to how you're going to become wealthy just like me. No, T-Shroom and I are actively walking through this life-changing, generational wealth creating lifestyle with you guys. If that's something you love, this is the right channel. You absolutely should subscribe. Right now, it's free. Just click on it right there if you love it. T-Shroom, I'll throw it back to you. Sorry, I interrupted you there a couple times, but We'll
No,
get back
absolutely. We have a factoid of the day, Tim, to go ahead and get to. Let's go ahead and jump into that now. It's brought to you all by Decrypted.tax, who we trust with our crypto and personal taxes. Let's check it out here, Tim. What is the hottest color of a flame? Is it A, red, B, yellow, C, blue, or is it, Tim, D, white? What is the answer?
Ooh, hold on. Let me put down chat. No one's guessed yet, so I'm not cheating yet. All right. I knew the answer to this at one point. So it's not gonna be red or yellow. It's blue or white. And I think even based off of how light is done, I'm pretty sure that white is the first one that's gonna come. It's the brightest of all colors. And so it's going to be diminished and go down, and light obviously comes from the same kind of stuff as fire. I think it's going to be white. I think the hottest one is white, then blue, and then red, then yellow. I think red, then yellow. I don't know. That's not part of the factoid. I'm going D, white, hottest flame. Let's find out if I'm right.
He sounds confident, bros. Let's see if he's white. If he's right. And they can reach temperatures of 2,000 Celsius, these white flames, which I do not know what that is in Fahrenheit, but that sounds really, really hot.
All right, now I'm pulling up chat because I don't get to see it. A lot of people are saying I'm wrong. Well, you'll catch up. You'll catch up. A lot of people said blue. Someone said that blue is the shortest wavelength of colors. Does that wavelength include white though? Right. So yes, and that's why I kind of was going through there. Blue would be hotter than red or yellow, and it was a shorter, wavelength of color. But I think white, it's like white is so bright, you can't see anything else but it. That's why I think that I said that. Also, you don't see blue in the sun. You see, if you really want to be accurate with it, there are tips that are yellow, but you look at a lot of white on the sun because it is burning stupid hot. But there we go, guys. Even though a lot of you guys said C, I won today. That puts us one step closer to one of you getting $50 at the end of the week. Let's see any questions. We have a couple minutes here before we wrap it up. Seth Shepard said, I never cheat on these questions. I like your rationale. Good breakdown. Are you talking about the fire? Sometimes I do break these things down well. A lot of congratulations. Remon, fun name. Remen or Remon? The Unison, I'm going to go with. I'm just now rewatching this. The whole thing about the AVAX card is useless. Have you even read beyond the highlights? This whole thing is backwards and wrong. Remen or Remen, maybe you're right, and we'll have to look into that. I'll tell you this right now. Just the relationship alone is going to make people a lot more excited about the project. I'll look more into it, though, and I'll look to see if there's details about that relationship that are nothing burgers and something that's terrible. But at the end of the day, Visa is a massive company doing a lot of transactions worldwide. For them to choose AVAX to partner with, I think they're alone on the very simplistic nature of it is extremely bullish for AVAX. So we'll look more into it, though. Thank you for the concern and the question/statement there. Yanni Denmark said, hello from Denmark. I know we are talking about Link and AVAX, but what kind of influence do you guys think the Japanese upcoming stimulus package will have for the crypto OG, specifically Jasmy Coin? T-shirt, what do you think about that? What do you think about Japan? We talked about that a little bit yesterday, right?
A little bit. Well, what we talked about yesterday is they have a candidate who's pretty pro Bitcoin and
that's right. Okay,
be bringing down the tax. About Japan. Yeah, I mean Japanese stimulus is not something that's going to be on my radar when it comes to the Bank of Japan. What has been important is keeping rates paused, right, so that we can maintain the Japanese carry trade, the yen carry trade. Now that's when it comes to Jasmy Coin, it sounds to me like you may have been hearing some people that are connecting the dots between Japanese stimulus and Jasmy Coin. There is a possibility that that's legit, and that would be some good alpha, to be honest with you. However, that seems like some pretty convenient dots to line up. I'm not sure how true that's going to be. That's my initial thought. The Chinese are the ones that are doing quite a bit of stimulus right now, so there could be confusion there too. But like I said, there's a chance that you're right on here and that Japanese stimulus could potentially boost the Jasmy Coin. That's just not something I've read about today.
Yeah, ultimately, we need to look at the details of the significance of it before we can make a truly bullish or nothing burger approach here. It's not going to be bearish. It's not going to be negative. More liquidity coming in the market is not going to make crypto go down in price. The question is the significance. How high does it pump the markets? On the surface, that sounds like it could be amazing, especially for a coin like Jasmine Coin, a coin that we've been very, very bullish on here on the channel. But let's get some more details. Let's see some more. We'll do some digging, possibly talk about that on tomorrow's show. With that said, it is time to wrap up our show for today. It is 4 p.m. I'm going to take like a 5-minute break here in a second, then jump into our Tuesday afternoon Q&A for all of our VIP trading members. If you can't be there, we will record it. It'll be out there later on this evening. My parting thought, I'm going to keep it a little bit simpler today, not so deep. Sometimes I get deep here, but something we're doing more on the channel is we're leaving you guys not only with investment conversation on how to get better with your wealth, but we want to see you become better humans as well. And I'm going to be very simple. Like I opened the show, go train leg day. Training leg day is not for the weak. Training leg day is not for the weak-willed. It is for those who are disciplined and do things despite the fact they don't want to. Nobody wants to do leg day. Lunatics love leg day, right? That's the truth. But nobody really wants to do it. But as simple and as silly as that sounds, go do leg day sounds like you're just pushing yourself in the gym to become healthy. That type of motivation to do things that you don't want to do it, but you know it's good for you, translates into every other aspect of your life. I'm a big believer that what you do in one box trickles into another box, into another box. And when you take control of your life, when you take control of your discipline and you train yourself physically, there's just something special about physical discipline and taking control of your life that trickles into your relationships, that trickles into your money, that trickles into how you operate as a human being. So my advice to you, be a better human. Go train leg day. Love all of you. See you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Smash the like, hit subscribe. Adios.